Resource Circulation Bureau, Ministry of the Environment of Japan. Mr. Mizutani, the floor is yours.
こんにちは。ただいまご紹介をいただきました環境省循環型社会推進室長の水谷と申します。本日の福岡
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Mizutani, the Ministry of the Environment, and thank you for this opportunity to address today's very first seminar of Fukuoka Method Global Network. And I'd like to first express my deep appreciation for the efforts of Fukuoka City, UN Habitat Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific, Fukuoka, Dr. Matsufuji, Dr. Tanaka of Fukuoka University, and all other people involved in holding this seminar. The Fukuoka method, in the context of waste, has become widely known. And this method has contributed to solve waste disposal issues and creating sustainable cities, not only in Japan, but also across the world. And this is thanks to the advantages and the beauty of the Fukuoka method, which is simple, low cost, and allows the use of locally available materials according to local conditions. In addition, as part of climate change talks, the Global Methane Pledge, adopted in 2021 and now signed by 150 countries. This pledge called for a 30% reduction in global methane emissions by 2030 from the 2020 levels. The Fukuoka method has an effect of reducing methane emissions and will also contribute to the reduction of methane emissions from landfills, which is a major source of methane emissions. The effectiveness of the Fukuoka method, which Japan is proud to offer to the world, is the focus of the African Clean Cities platform. And one of the case studies is Kenya, which we are going to learn about later. And this ACCP is promoted by the Ministry of the Environment to improve waste management in Africa, and the importance and significance of introducing a Fukuoka method has been repeatedly mentioned and emphasized in ACCP. However, there have been cases reported that engineers involved in the Fukuoka method have not fully understood the basic principles or maintenance methods of the Fukuoka method, or that maintenance and management have not been carried out continuously. The Fukuoka Method Global Network was established in July last year to ensure the appropriate transfer of the Fukuoka method technology. The Fukuoka method can be used in various places, but the conditions differ from site to site in terms of the amount of waste, disposal site operation approaches, municipal financial conditions, etc. And it is easy to imagine that the variety of the cases where the method is utilized gives the engineers a difficulty or challenges and various difficulties. I believe that the seminar will be a great opportunity to share and solve common problems by learning from each other. The Fukuoka Method Global Network was established as a forum where colleagues working on the common issue of waste management consult with each other across national borders. Based on this founding purpose, I sincerely hope that this seminar will lead to the improvement of your sites and the acquisition of new knowledge. Thank you very much.
水谷室長、ありがとうございました。では、
Mr. Mizutani, thank you very much. Now I'd like to move on to keynote speech. First, I'd like to introduce keynote speaker. I'd like to introduce Mr. Andrew Kiambu, who has been serving as the director of the Environmental Division of Kiambu County of Kenya since 2013. And He will make a keynote speech and touch on the Fukuoka method that was introduced in Kiambu County, its benefits and challenges. Andrew-san, over to you.
Good morning from East Africa and evening from Japan. As you've heard, my name is Andrew Kimani, Director of Environment, Kiambu County. So next slide. Next. So Kenya is in African continent, in the East African side of the continent, and it neighbors various countries, also neighbors the Indian Ocean. So this is the map of Kenya, and it has 47 counties and 1 national government. Next. Next. Now that's the map of Kiambu. We have 12 constituencies and wards. We have 1 governor and deputy governor and 10 county executive members. So Kiambu is represented in the national parliament by 12 members of parliament and 60 county assembly members. Next. So Kenya has a population of 50.9 million people according to 2019 national census. We have 1 national government and 47 county governments. Kenya has a rich tourist attraction. You can travel national parks. The 7th wonder is in Kenya. And we have a diverse ethnic communities, 44 existing together. Kiswahili and English are the national and official language. Yep. Next, please. So by 2025, waste produced in sub-Saharan Africa will be 442,000 tons per day, up from 170 due to rapid population growth, poor waste management practices that aggravate the problem of low sanitation across the continent. Sub-Saharan Africa has the most rapid growing population in the world as a region. Yeah. Next. So Kiambu County is one of the 47 counties in Kenya. The counties were introduced by the new constitution 2010, where you have county governments headed by government and 1 national government by the president. It's located in central region of Kenya, and it has a total area of 2,545.2 kilometers square. So 476 under forest cover. The county has a population of 2.4, almost 2.5 people. That is according to the census in 2019. Waste per capita is 0.4 to 0.65 per person per day. This was done by the UN Habitat in 2022. So total waste generated within the county is 1.420 metric tons per day. Yep. Next. So when we look at the projected waste generation by region, we'll see that the sub-Saharan African graph is on a steep rise, while all other regions are on a decline. And this is due to the fact that this region has not put measures in place to reduce waste generation. And there's low priority in that area. The other issue is that the rapid population growth and urbanization does not meet the structures of waste management. So if unchecked, this could become disastrous. Next. So these are the national trends in Kenya, solid waste management. It is not very much different from the sub-Saharan Africa. You can see it is a rise, although not very steep. Next. So these are the national trends. So you see the waste composition. Kenya waste composition, we have organic waste at 60%, paper at 14%, plastic 16%, glass 6 to 7%, metal is 1 to 2%, and the others around 3%. So that is, you can see organic waste forms 60%. That's the bulk. The next. So the semi-aerobic landfill, Fukuoka technology, was introduced in Kenya first. Kenya was the first in Africa to have the technology. And probably before I go into the years and the trend, let me just briefly discuss about the landfill. So sanitary landfill is basically engineered method of waste disposal, where waste is disposed of by being spread in thin layers and compacted, covered every day with a thin layer of soil that could be around 10 centimeters to 15. And the major problem of landfills is toxins, leachate, and greenhouse gases. So Fukuoka sanitary landfill technology is different from the conventional in that it is climate change sensitive. And this is due to the aeration, and it accords waste degradation, aerobic degradation, aerobic microorganisms acting on the waste. This also helps in good quality leachate, reduced methane production, which is a greenhouse gas that is is 23 times lethal in destruction of the ozone and contributing to the climate change and global warming. So that is how different it is. The other issue is that it is an appropriate technology, as we will see, and can be applied to using locally available materials. So in the case of Kiambu, the groundbreaking was done in 2013, 2014. 2014 was the MOA between Kiambu and the UN Habitat. The UN Habitat mobilized funds from the Swedish government, and in 2015 engaged the SWAN, that is Solid Waste Advisors Network, from Fukuoka through the UN Habitat Asia Pacific Regional Headquarters. So Kiambu County and Kenya first to have Fukuoka semi-aerobic landfill technology in Africa, with groundbreaking on the 25th March of 2015. Next. So funding sourced by the UN Habitat, this is the Kiambu scenario, facilitated the SWAN consultant from Fukuoka. And there was seamless skills and technology transfer by the Fukuoka consultancies led by Professor Matsufuji to the county government personnel, in the effect that county government of Kiambu funded the construction and development of the first Fukuoka technology semi-aerobic landfill in Africa and an office block. This is from our own revenue. So departmental personnel and waste pickers provided both skilled and unskilled labor. So that is the scenario. Next, please. So the first semi-aerobic landfill based on Fukuoka technology was completed in a record 1 year in 2016. And the synergies brought by this is Kiambu became a local and regional benchmarking destination for other countries and for other counties and African countries. Kiambu had the privilege of having a side event at the first TICAD in Africa. That is TCAD 6. So plans for development of supportive infrastructure for the Fukuoka semi-aerobic landfill were in place using the $350 disbursed by the UN as part of the funding, which wanted the weighbridge and a 50-ton daily and material recovery facility. This is the money that remained after paying the consultants that was supposed to put supportive infrastructure so that the functionalization, operation of this facility could undergo. But this did not exactly happen as planned, as the election year and change of government was in place, and we had a new election in 2017, placing a new administration that was a departure from the first administration in 2017 that did very little to support this important technology to take off. Next. So this is the inauguration of the Kawoki semi-aerobic landfill in Thika sub-county, Kiambu County. You can see it had full support from the national government, from the governor who was there, he really supported it, and all officials from JICA, Japanese government, the Swedish government. So there was full support, and that is why we were able to inaugurate it and move very fast. So the next. So this is phase one, and the way I'm taking you through now, I'm giving you the history and how the ups and downs, the challenges and the advantages, so that it is a whole scenario that other people and other countries, regions intending to use it will learn from us and have a better idea. So the event was fully supported. So this is the commemoration stone at the dam site. Please, next. So the groundbreaking, we have the governor, we have Professor Matsufuji from Solid Waste Advisory Network, advisors, and then African Region UN Habitat Director present, and other Kiambu County and Kenya national officials. So we can see Professor Matsufuji literally breaking the ground. Next slide. Yeah, so these pictures show the groundbreaking day, which was a great event for having brought this appropriate and good technology to Africa. Next. And after the groundbreaking, the construction took on, and the Kiambu County officers in the Department of Environment and the waste pickers at the dam site were engaged in the construction. So this was hands-on transfer of technology. It has never happened again in this country. This was the first engineered landfill, and even the next one that is being funded by the World Bank has been given to, the tender was floated, and a company given the rights to construct, which is a big gap because the officers in that county, which is next here called Moranga, have no idea what it is. So Kiambu has the first officers to have hands-on training in landfill, engineered landfill construction and management, which is a great idea and approach by the Fukuoka group. So yeah, next skill, next. So these are the leachate collection pipes, which were sourced locally. We opted for the concrete pipes, which were perforated 2/3. It was a challenge initially, but eventually locally we are able to do the perforations. And you can see the cobblestones as referred to in Japan. In Africa, we refer them to hardcore or locally sourced, which are covered 50 centimeters to allow ventilation and also seepage of leachate. Next, please. So in 1 year, we were able to do the landfill. You will see from the background, and even demonstrate on the tipping and compaction and cover of soil. And we did this with around 50 trucks. And we were able also to see that the leachate started forming. And we were able to monitor the progress. Next. So these are the demonstrations. You can see the vertical vents and where the waste has been put. Compaction, we were using the bulldozer. That's what we had that time only. So next. The Fukuoka method uses basic facilities that are available locally for aeration at the aeration pond for the treatment of leachate. There's the eco fan that is used to aerate, and this is made from old bicycle parts and buckets split into two, and it's easily rotated by wind to aerate the pond. So it is very easy to treat the leachate, and the leachate is basically of good quality, not very complicated. So locally available materials in use. And these are demonstrations of how to construct an eco fund. So the aeration is also done using the tornado aeration, which is a steep from the main collection leachate collection system. There's a step and a small pond where there are pipes that are put underground, and they agitate through the force that comes with it and bubbles. So the tornado aeration. Next. So within 1 year, we were able to have the leachate, and you can see the landfill and the leachate that came from the demonstrated compaction and the waste that was compacted in the landfill. So that is between 2015 to 2017. So the next slide. Yeah, see, so this is basically the landfill. We had around 21 cells and all vertically ventilated. And this is the leachate control point with the eco fan and the biotop, also for the treatment of the leachate. Yeah, next. So the story of any waste management facility must have an accessible road, all-weather road. So this was the case of the road. During the rains, we had made the road accessible by compaction and using locally available materials, and the waste generated was transported easily, and we were able to remove more waste, and the result was cleaner environment. So that is up to 2017. Next. The Fukuoka method also came with the composting. As you noted that the larger fraction of our waste is 60% organic, and it is also a resource. So we had a composting facility also using the Fukuoka method. And the photographs there show that the training of the local officers and also the local political members of the ward, we call them here members of the county assembly, participated in that. So there was a lot of support, political support, administrative support. And we were able to have the first composting facility at the dump site functional. Next. So this is, as I pointed earlier, the Kiambu funded the construction of the landfill, an office block, a guardhouse, and a barrier. And this is what is there, and also bought the bulldozer that you're seeing there in support of that of the project. So this is how it was by 2017. Next. Yeah, this is the complete office and the washrooms when it was being painted, given the last painting finish. So this was what was done. And this area previously, before the Fukuoka team came, this was all full of waste. So we cleared waste and created space for office and the landfill. Next. The Fukuoka technology and the team, JICA and the Japanese government, and the Kiambu County government facilitated an MOU between Fukuoka University and Jomo Kenyatta University to fill the gap in the issue of landfill management, landfill construction, so that there's a cooperation to build the capacity further in the university and encourage research. So the MOU was signed, so the photograph on the right. And Kiambu had a privilege of having the first side event of TCAD 6, and we had around 18 African countries visiting the site in 2016. Next. So the challenges, as usual, for all waste management projects, they include the not in my backyard syndrome, popularly known as NIMBY, where communities will always challenge and oppose implementation or construction of waste management facilities. And this is based on the previous histories where they are promised a good technology only to have a dump site in place. But for the Kiambu approach, we were lucky, we did the environmental assessment where the communities are involved. We have community involvement, community participation. And when we educated them about the technology, they accepted. We conducted hydrogeological survey and quality assurance to assure that there'll be no pollution of water sources. The other big challenge is that waste management is a low priority in developing countries due to competing priorities. And this is quite not different in our country, although right now there's a bit of more, it is being given more priority as awareness is rising. So we have a lot of limited and very constrained resource allocation. Most resources go to roads, water, agriculture, and others. Again, a big challenge, as you will see in the next few slides, is the importance of political goodwill. In the first phase, where we had the first governor, because the counties operated from 2013, there was political goodwill. There was also the economic and all social, technological, environment, and legal issues. And the challenges, which we'll demonstrate in a pictorial way, will reveal how important it is to do the person analysis, which is the political, economic, socio-technological, environment, and legal analysis. Because with the lack of a political goodwill, the project is bound to fail. Again, we have the other challenge is poor governance, and we will demonstrate it in the case of Kiambu. Then technical and skills gap, then the bureaucratic procurement process. The government has very bureaucratic procurement process, but you are lucky in the first phase. The governor was hands-on, he facilitated it. Next. Then a big issue in the developing countries, Kenya is one of them, is management of resources and low commitment. Waste management requires a lot of commitment and passion. Next. So now the challenges that I've just highlighted will be depicted by the pictures that will follow. And you'll see how political goodwill and poor management, poor leadership plays a role in any project. And that is why we had to stagnate for 5 years with the Fukuoka landfill implementation and actualization. Next. So if I look at the memory, I did show in the first phase, there was the road that was shown during the rainy season. And then during the second phase, when we had a new administration, new governor, new deputy governor, and both of them later on became governor, this is the state. So that's a track that has overturned on a very poorly maintained road, a waste management track. And for the record, the other one, the picture on the right, this waste is dumped in the middle of the road for 5 years, the same road we had done for 5 years. So you can see mismanagement, lack of skills and commitment. Next phase. The Japanese government had to come in again and assist in provision of heavy equipment, because the first bulldozer that we bought was mismanaged. And even to date, we are trying to repair it. So the whole road was covered with waste, as you can see in this picture. And it's again now trying to trace the road again, put back the road, because this is after, and this is now happening after the new administration that has come in 2022. Otherwise, between 2017 and 2022 election, this was the state, nobody cared. And this waste was dumped all the way to the people's estates, and what followed were riots and demonstrations. So next. Again, due to poor governance, sabotage, incompetence, and not realizing the importance of this important technology, the landfill was vandalized. These are the vertical ventilation pipes. We had used the HDP pipes, which were very effective. They were all vandalized and stolen. Nobody really cared. So the government of that day had zero priority on waste management, and the officers who are heading them, because when the new administration came in, I was removed from office politically, so that they would bring their cronies or preferred people, and these were the results. So next. So this is the main road again, which now is being removed when we have the new administration that is already currently in place and very supportive. A lot of work using the excavator and the bulldozer donated by JICA and Japanese government. Next. The same office that you saw, very well established. Waste again was dumped and covered the office. And the same office was vandalized. So these are the scenarios that happened in 5 years. Total mess. Next. So the office is again completely vandalized. The steel doors, the windows gone, the washrooms and the guardhouse. So there was just devastation in 5 years. Next. So the third phase of devolution will show again another level of commitment from a new administration. And actually, before we go back to that, is that office block, the idea of constructing it was to be a secretariat for the African Clean Cities Platform, ACCP, a training center to other counties and other African countries. The office had a boardroom, a laboratory for testing leachate and all that. So it was an office that was meant to improve waste management in Kiambu County, Kenya, and Africa at large. So that was how important that office was. Next. So in last year, 2022, a new governor came in, and you saw the efforts that started. And I also recalled back to the office. The governor is also committed and supporting the project. He's aware of climate change issues, the importance of waste management, and the access road. This access road that was blocked actually serves quarries where we mine machine cut stone for construction. So there's a lot of economic activity. The neighbors here would stay for 3 months without power because the road was completely blocked and choked with waste. And you can see we are able to open it in the last 3 months from December using the equipment, the heavy equipment donated by Japan. So this is now how it is taking shape currently. Yeah, next phase. We had a lot of support, so we also constructed stormwater drain and stabilization of the surface, which is ongoing even right now using the cobblestones, popularly known in Kenya hardcore. So this is what is ongoing because without an access road, it was difficult for waste to be disposed in the right place, even accessing the landfill. So waste was being dumped within the residential areas at night. Illegal dumping was very prominent. Next. So this is again the office we have cleared. The current governor is committed to repairing it. We've removed all the waste and we are waiting. We are already in the procurement process of repairing this important office. Next. So the benefits is that the Fukuoka technology is is recognized by the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change as a mitigation technology. And this is actually why it is quite an acceptable technology because basically the production of methane is quite limited and managing carbon dioxide is easy because we only need to plant trees which we have planted to act as a carbon sink so that climate change is not affected because dump sites contribute to global warming. So locally available materials are easily used effectively. Again, the beauty about the Fukuoka team is that they effectively transfer skills hands-on. And we, right now in Kiambu, we have officers who are hands-on in the construction, in the maintenance and the management of the landfill and the Fukuoka technology. Actually, in 2016, I was dispatched by the UN Habitat to go and also introduce the same in Ethiopia, in Bahir Dar. So the quality of leachate, as opposed to the conventional sanitary landfills, is good quality, easy to treat. So affordable aeration and methods of the EcoFund. So tornado, the biotop, these are things that can be fabricated in any part of the world, and it's not quite expensive. So based on the on-site trainings that are practical and there's easy transfer of technology. So the Fukuoka, those are the benefits. Next, please. So again, basically landfills eliminate insects, rodents, and animals. Again, disease control. So this is what the Fukuoka technology also does. The prevention of water and air pollution, fires and smoke. Again, with the Fukuoka technology, there are limited chances of explosions as compared to the other technologies. Then the aesthetic condition, land can be reused when the landfill is decommissioned, either to parks or even construction of estates or play centers. Then the Fukuoka technology utilizes lesser space because there's fast degradation of waste. And so when there's fast degradation of waste, it means you can put a lot of waste in one area because it keeps on compacting. And as it degrades, it goes down. So you can use very little space. Then there's enhanced acceleration of waste decomposition. Aerobic conditions allow faster waste degradation as opposed to anaerobic. And because there's also the issue of fermentation during the degradation of waste. So this enhances fast degradation. Then simple in operations, maintenance, and management. Next. Next, please. So this is a cross-section of the semi-aerobic sanitary landfill. We have the retaining structure, which in our case, we used, we were an embankment using old waste, which was compacted. Then we have the leachate control and collection pipes. And as you can see, that the main one, which is 600, is the one that has the fast air in it. And oxygen flows through the cobblestone or the particles into aerating the waste that is already compacted and covered. And again, there's also the aeration through the vertical vents. So it's quite simple. And then the leachate control and collection pond is quite here. And you can see there's waste material decomposition, fermentation. So the temperature difference interior can be monitored. And the results of this semi-aerobic landfill are almost the same. The parameters of the leachate, the methane, and all that levels, even if it's ventilated mechanically, it still gets almost the same results as the ventilation, which is natural. So it's quite an appropriate technology. Next. Now, the opportunities in Kenya, we have a new law, the Sustainable Waste Management Act. It emphasizes on a circular economy. But again, as a country, we have very many dump sites. And one of the biggest in Africa is in Nairobi, the Dandora dump site. So the Sustainable Waste Management Act, again, stipulates clearly that the country needs to shift from open dumping to landfilling. And this one is quite an opportunity for us to continue. So our economy is generally linear with limited waste reduction. So a lot of the waste and the waste recovery by waste pickers is less than 10%, meaning that almost 90% has to be disposed of in the landfill. So the recent achievement is in Kenya, we also have the plastic ban, because plastic is a menace. The single use plastics were banned. Then again, we have a well-established legal and regulatory framework at national and emerging at this system at the counties. So the laws are also available for that. Next. Another very important component when the Fukuoka technology was introduced in Kiambu was the waste pickers. The Kangoki dam site has over 600 waste pickers etching a living from within. And the waste pickers were the first line of communities that we had to engage and work with so that they support the technology. So we have been having regular meetings, and we did that in 2013 up to 2017, it stopped. So last year, 2022, we started again with meetings. And you can see the registration ongoing so that they own up the project and they also guard against the vandalism of the same. So we have been having weekly trainings for the same. As for the case of Kiambu County, you don't need, most dump sites have criminal elements and you have to go there with armed police to take care of you. But in Kiambu County, because of these consultancies, consultation, engagement with the waste pickers, you don't need armed police to take you there. So it is safe, and we are encouraging them to using various technologies during the training, which the next pictures will demonstrate. We want to facilitate them get salvage more economic viably recyclables by spreading the waste. Next, please. Before you see the trainings, you can see the very polluted environments these people are living in. You can see even children are not left behind. We are also trying to work with the area leaders and chiefs so that these children are not longer in the dump site, they go back to school. And the Fukuoka technology brought synergies that now we're able to engage. Actually, by last month, 5 of them had gotten some scholarship. So next. So this is a training of the, we call them wastepreneurs. We've been training them in batches of 40 to 50 every week on safety, on health issues, on touching a bit of discipline, alcoholism and drug abuse, and the need for cohesion and cooperation with the county government and other officials. So you can see in the picture that they're being trained on the 5 minutes where their waste is dumped, spread by the compactor, and then they can easily fast collect their recyclables. Next. Next. Yeah, so the training is very participatory. These are waste pickers being trained, and that is one of them addressing the forum. Next. So again, building the capacity and opening markets for the waste pickers, we partner with other agencies. There's a pyrolysis plant that recycles the thin plastic into synthetic oil. And as you can see, the bags that are packed, these are from waste pickers who are organized in groups, and the recycler collects in bags, pays them through mobile money, and recycles them. So these are the synergies that have been created out of the whole partnership. Next. Again, the Fukuoka team was able to donate 3 compactors and 1 dump truck. As indicated, so far 3 are functioning, 1 is retired. We would want to repair it, but the 3 are functional. And we did a time and motion study that demonstrated that the compactor is more viable economically, fuel efficient, takes more waste, because we have very big trucks. But when you look at what it carries, maybe it's a 10-wheel and has only 3 tons or 2 tons of waste. So these are, they look smaller, but carry more waste than the big trucks because of the compaction. So this is some of the things that, the value that were added by the Fukuoka group, Kiambu. Next. These are the donated equipments. The right one is the one we bought in 2016, the Shantui. Then we have the Komatsu that was donated last year by Japanese government through JICA. And this has helped a lot in undoing the mess that was done in 5 years. Next. So this is the handing over of the machines last year. Next. So thank you so much for the time. So we can see political goodwill, good leadership, and resources are quite integral in the success of the Fukuoka technology. Thank you so much. Arigatou gozaimasu.
アンドリュー様、ありがとうございました。
Andrew, thank you very much. Next, we'd like to move on to panel discussion. In the panel discussion, we'll be discussing Fukuoka method and potentials panelists are Professor Emerist Koji Matsufuji of Fukuoka University, Professor Ayako Tanaka, Faculty of Engineering at Fukuoka University, Mr. Toshikazu Mito, Technical Advisor of UN Habitat Ethiopia Office, Mr. Shuichi Yamashita of Swan Fukuoka NPO, and the moderator is Ms. Sachio Hoshino, Assistant to the Director General, UN Habitat Fukuoka Headquarters. Is everyone ready? So I'd like to hand this over to Hoshino-san to facilitate the panel session. Yamanaka-san, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. So we have Fukuoka method experts. So I'd like to proceed panel discussion with all the experts online. I'd like to share my slide. Can you give me a minute?
So
once again, I'd like to introduce panelists shown on this picture. In fact, Professor Matsuuchi and Yamashita-san of Swan, and UN Habitat Ethiopia Office, Mito-san, and myself are the panelists. And as a matter of fact, for the Hawassa project in Ethiopia, we are currently in Ethiopia. Up until yesterday, we were working on the project in Hawassa, and then last night we came back to Addis Ababa. So those are the members of the panelists. And from Japan, we have Ayako Tanaka, professor of Fukuoka University. So Professor Tanaka is joining us from Japan today, but Professor Tanaka has been leading a lot of African projects. She's one of the leaders on the in Myanmar Yangon. A project was ongoing to take a look at the Richard and other wastewater. So anyway, that's all for today's members' introduction. With that, why don't we get started? Andrew-san, thank you very much for the wonderful keynote presentation. Since 2014, we have been involved in this project. It's grateful to hear from you. So first off, Professor Matsufuji. As Andrew-san mentioned, the project has been ongoing. Donor institutions, UN and Japanese government have extended support. Well, during the project, everything was going well. We saw improvement, but for a long period of time, it's important to maintain. It's important to ensure political commitment. With the change of administration, priority could change, as Andrew-san mentioned. So it's not easy to maintain what was developed. That's what we heard from Andrew-san. So listening to what Andrew-san mentioned, Professor Matsufuji, Andrew-san has gone through a lot of ups and downs, but he's still committed. How do you, what's your take on that? Hi, this is Matsufuji speaking. Well, I got suntan. Well, I'm getting suntan, so anyway, I'm still in Ethiopia. And it was touching. Andrew-san, I have a question to you. So you have gone through a lot of difficulties and challenges. Once you actually went back to original state, but you never gave up. You had passion, and then now you're working on phase 3. So till then, Andrew-san, where does your passion come from? Why you did not give up? Andrew-san, tell me, where does your passion come from? Why you have never given up?
Thank you so much, Professor. I believe in service to human is to mankind is service to God. And then my background is that I don't want to give up until I actualize my vision. Because if we leave it in the middle, then all that energy will have been a waste. And I'm happy and committed that during these 5 years, we will make the landfill work. Actually, we want to start using the part, we will repair some parts tomorrow because we have been concentrating on the access roads. And by next week, we start now landfilling on the cells that are partially repaired. So actually, by the end of this year, we should have gone to the first 2 or 3 meters of that landfill because we want to introduce the system in this country and eliminate the dump sites, which are a health menace, and make it better. So the commitment is still there, in regardless of the political affiliation. So I also believe in making Kiambu better than I found it.
はい、ありがとうございます。で、その中でです
Thank you,
ね、
Anderson. Well, maybe you may not be able to do a lot by yourself. One person may have limited power, but I think it's important to develop people who can help you. So in Kiev, well, I know that you have with speakers education training. That's very impressive. How do you develop stuff? Do you have an educational program at Kiev County? Do you have training program for Kiev County staff?
Yeah, thank you so much again. The issue of transition is very important because at some point I will exit the scene. I'll exit the civil service. We have I've identified several officers. Like we have 2 officers now. We have the assistant director Monica-san is very committed. So basically, first of all, is to develop those who have the passion because there's still the notion that waste is waste. It's a bad scenario to be in. You know, this is the situation in Africa. You realize we've trained around 14 officers in Japan. But when I exited, everything just went south because their passion is not there. And I thank Monica, she's been trying to fight on, but it's also sometimes difficult when there's a lot of forces coming in. And I believe once we are on the track with a few officers, then the others will follow. And the beauty is that Kenya is becoming more aware on waste management. The citizens are demanding for better services. So right now, Kiambu was the cleanest county in Kenya. It went back down. Now the new governor is insisting we have to go back on track. So the officers in the sub-counties have to work extra hours. And so again, when you go to the social media, they keep on bashing the governor and saying Kiambu is dirty. So with the awareness of the counties, we will have again more people liking waste management. Is a very technical and interesting field. Because that is where the whole problem of waste management, even the leaders just think waste is very simple to manage, but at the end of the day, it becomes very difficult. So yeah, we will continue training officers. Also, I'm happy that Fukuoka team has not given up, so that we quite have one objective and train more people and instill. We even had started an environmental education program that came crumbling, so that we also started from the basics, from the school children. They are good agents of change. But I'm happy there are many leaders now who are demanding better services. And so we will continue training. We will not give up and push until everybody sees the sense of a better environment.
はい、どうもありがとうございました。じゃあ次お願いいたし
Thank
ま
you
す。
very much. Thank you.
それでは人材育成のお話
Now, So we talked about people development, and tying to that a topic, I'd like to ask Tanaka, someone like Andrew, he learned environment at the university, and he is an expert of environmental policy throughout his career. That is Andrew's case. And Andrew mentioned about the partnership between Jomo Kenyatta University and Fukuoka University, and this partnership and MOU between the two organizations that is now in place. And young people, young experts who will lead waste management and environmental policies in Kenya in the future, how can you contribute to raise those future generation leaders? Thank you for asking. So the question was about developing people. Earlier, our Andrew talked about training for the scavengers, the waste pickers, and just like that, developing people who are passionate about the topic is key to continuity. From that perspective as well, we started cooperation with Jomo Kenyatta University because they have an asset of knowledge. And also, cooperation is the fastest way to achieve anything. That's why we decided to sign MOU with the Jomo Kenyatta. Unfortunately, we accepted one trainee. However, currently, we see some lack of continuity in this effort. And one reason is this, just like Andrew said, political reasons interrupted, and this initiative was put off at once, and that was one of the reasons. But I know that, and Andrew's team is working really hard, and I know Andrew is a graduate of Jomo Kenyatta University as well. So to students of Jomo Kenyatta, or maybe the faculty members of Jomo Kenyatta, we hope to engage with them for further cooperation, and we are hoping to follow up with them. Thank you very much. One point about the partnership with universities. Jomo Kenyatta University is located in Kiambu County, and also by cooperating with a Kiambu County, you can do scientific analysis. So my point is the partnerships for cooperation between the county and Jomo Kenyatta University. In that framework, I think the university has a big role to play in terms of scientific analysis, to have advice to the county about how to engage with the universities. Thank you. So using Fukuoka method, for example, the aesthetic improvement, or now a malodor has been eliminated, and these benefits are clear. We can feel them. But as Andrew said, reduction of global warming gases to finance or to fund the improvement, that kind of contribution to global causes is also important. And to prove that contribution, we have to monitor how much methane we successfully reduced by our initiative. That kind of data is required. That's evidence. And once we have evidence, then that will lead to fundraising. And that's the area that local college can play a role, because for us, there's limitation for us to fly every time to Kenya, but I think that it is better for local university to take the lead in this area. And when this is rolled out to other municipalities, they have to secure funding, and to secure funding, scientific data is very important. And I think that's the area where the partnership between the local government and universities can work. Thank you. Today, from Africa, we have many people joining from various cities and regions in Africa. And the message is this method can be used in every city. Is that the message? Yes, that's right. Not only Kenya, but in other places, but not just for Kenya, but for any place to adopt this scientific evidence is very important, especially the methane reduction depends on the types of waste that is in the landfill, and it also depends on the climate conditions, so we have to accumulate data. Thank you very much. And we'd like to encourage today's participants to consider future partnership with your own local colleges and universities. Now, we'd like to keep on talking about people development. Yamashita-san, can I ask a question to you? The dump sites or landfills, not just experts, but there are waste pickers and operators, the people who operate heavy machines or truck drivers, and the local workers. All sorts of people are involved in running those sites. But most of the cases, for example, the waste pickers have diverse backgrounds. They speak very different languages and how to communicate, and also their interests sometimes conflict with each other. And in that environment, Yamashita-san has been leading this improvement projects as an expert. So how did you coordinate all these different people and motivate them? Could you share some know-how or tips based on your experience? This is Yamashita. Improvement of dump sites. And I am known for my track record of achieving great improvement. Well, I'm not good at speaking, not fluent in English. So I mixed some English words as well as my native language. I mix everything to offer my advice to the people on site. And in the honor of time, I'm going to be simple.
I think it's important to demonstrate. I wear uniform, I wear long boots, and then show what I can instead of explaining with words. It's better to show. I think it's easier for operators to understand. Waste pickers, workers would understand if I actually show instead of trying to explain with words. I show and then give instruction and show what they can do or what they should do, and then let them try. Hands-on training, let them try. And if they are wrong, I say, that's wrong. And then I demonstrate more details and then give instruction. Otherwise, well, there are changes every day on dump site. So you may have design drawing, but things are changing every day. So you have to be flexible and then do differently in order to stabilize the operation. So again, it's difficult to explain. I'm not really good at explaining in words, but to put it simply, people are invited to a site, and then if you could kindly come to a site and then see waste pickers, operators, heavy machine operators, if you work together on site, I think you can make improvement. So again, I think you need a passion. So with online or Zoom technology, it might be difficult to explain. If you can come to the site and physically work together, your message maybe sent across. That's my style. That's all. Andrew, how's your finger? Your finger's okay? Are you doing okay? That's all for me. Thank you. Yamashita-san, thank you. Well, Yamashita-san is really good at explaining with his body language. He's been to Mozambique, climate condition is different depending on location, but you have to identify the best approach. So with speakers, operators, everyone respect and trust Yamashita-san. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to move on to Mita-san, Technical Advisor of UN Habitat Ethiopia Office. Any comment on the device? Hi, this is Mito speaking. Thank you. First, Andrew-san, your presentation was wonderful. Thank you very much. You covered key points of Fukuoka method. And as you mentioned, there are some challenges, but you have passion. I think it was back in 2015 when I met you for the first time. And I'm very impressed that you still maintain your passion. That's very important. In order to make Fukuoka method successful, I think that's the most important thing. You need to have passion. And I'd like to add on top of what Andrew-san mentioned during the presentation. In order to introduce Fukuoka method successfully, well, you have heavy machines like a dump and also materials as well as people. Those three are important. Without heavy machinery, it's important. Without heavy machinery, it's difficult to make improvement. That's what I thought. But looking at actual examples, those three are nice to have. Of course, it's better to have those, but what matters most is, like Andrew-san and his team, people who have passion, will to make improvement with Fukuoka method, people who are willing to go to site, and those who are capable of managing people working there. I think people like Andrew-san, I think, are important. I know that people could complain about lack of financial resources and heavy machinery, but the Fukuoka method has different grades or different levels. People alone may be able to make some improvement. So instead of materials and heavy machinery, I think team like Andrew-san is more important. Team of people who have a will to make improvement, team of people who are willing to go to a site, and then with limited resources, people who are capable of thinking what they can do. So today we have more than 80 people who are joining us online, and I'm sure that all of you are interested in Fukuoka method. What's most important is, as I mentioned, is to go to site almost every day and think what you can do with Fukuoka method, and then work together with people on the site and manage people. Of course, you can gain knowledge and skills later. And management is not easy, but what's needed is passion. The question is whether you have a will to make an improvement. That I think is most important. If you have a commitment, if you have a passion, please consider introducing Fukuoka method. And one more thing to add. Give me a minute. So with that said, Fukuoka method has flexibilities. You can do a lot of things with different level. For example, as Hoshino-san mentioned, we have Hawassa project in Ethiopia. Can you see my screen? You see a gas vent that's being installed. Because it was difficult to arrange heavy machinery, a lot of things were done manually. So local workers, waste pickers, we got very close to waste pickers, and then you can do something like this. And here is the video. A day after we installed the gas vent, you see steam. Well, the decomposition has been really facilitated with the gas vent. So again, this is something that was done most manually. And I think this is a big issue in many countries. Waste pickers and waste collectors are competing each other. They are fighting each other to collect precious metals and others. So you see a lot of people, and some people actually died because of the crash. And this is Adisha Adova's project. So waste were dumped, and then excavator was used to spread the garbage, and then waste pickers started to pick recyclable waste. So in the past, it used to take 4.5 minutes, but after spreading the waste, it takes only 1 minute because you can see what's available there, and you don't have to worry about colliding with bulldozer or waste collection machine. You can reduce the number of accidents, and you don't need muscle. It's more fair. I mean, women and everyone can participate with Fukuoka method. So there are different kinds of steps. Even if you don't have heavy machinery, you don't have resources, you are still able to introduce Fukuoka method. If you have a passion, you can think what you can do on site with limited resources, and you can take action. So as long as you have passion, I will encourage you to consider introducing Fukuoka method. And one more thing, one more important thing, when we discuss waste issue, a lot of municipalities are trying to prioritize sorting garbage and recycling. But even if you don't have a recycling system or sorting garbage system in place, Fukuoka method is applicable. Of course, recycling is a good thing to promote, but you don't have to wait to introduce Fukuoka method. You can introduce Fukuoka method, and in parallel, you can introduce a recycling system to reduce the garbage. I think that's ideal. You can do both in parallel. You know, people often talk about 3 R's. 3 R's are important, but at the same time, you can introduce Fukuoka method and then treat gases and treat water. There are a lot of people who are suffering. So with Fukuoka method, I think you can do a lot of things. That's all.
Thank you very much. And thanks to all these experts, we can learn what is going on the actual site. And original schedule said we will finish by 5:20, but actually the organizer said we can extend a little bit. So going forward, the journey in Kiambu County will continue with Andrew's team, and I would like each panelist to give supportive comment for Andrew's team for their ongoing journey. And for many environment policy officers, this advice will also apply and be valid. Dr. Matsufuji, could you be the first to give advice or a supportive comment? Sorry. Dr. Tanaka, could you go first? Supportive comment. I see some questions coming, and the key question is the funding, how to secure funding for improvement or leachate treatment. In particular, when there is a heavy rainfall, that will increase the amount of leachate and how we can address that situation. I saw these questions coming, and that's the very point I want to give advice also to Andrew's team. So first, regarding securing a continuous funding, and as I said earlier, to get funding, you need to be able to provide data which show the improvement, the effect, and collaboration with the universities will help on that front. And regarding leachate, now landfill is improved, and the next challenge is going to be leachate, because now leachate is collected, so the key challenge will be leachate treatment as a next step. So monitoring of quality of leachate is something that you have to monitor as well. And EcoFan, if EcoFan is broken, then you have to repair it. and capture data to see how much you can improve or what are the options you can add. And if you do to that extent, that will really complete the whole Fukuoka method. And I hope that you can keep on working to achieve that kind of state. Thank you very much, Professor Tanaka. And now let me turn to Professor Matsufuji. Excuse me. Andrew, how is your finger? You broke your finger. How are you feeling?
My finger is doing well. Just a bit of physio.
Okay. まあ、アクセス道路も改善されているようで。
Access road has been improved and it's a big relief for me. Hotta-san, we asked Hotta-san to send pictures, but we don't receive much.
I can send.
I hope to see some pictures of the site, but I don't get them. So Andrew, so please send us the photos of the improved parts, and I count on you to continue great work. And wherever necessary, I will be ready to come to help you. Thank you. Mr. Yamashita, thank you very much for a very personal message. I am Mito. I have just one point. As we saw in Andrew's presentation, the dump site, the waste pickers are the people who knows the dump site very well, and they are the most passionate people in doing actual work. They are part of the team. So please cooperate with them. They're part of the team, just like Andrew does. And I think Andrew's team is in the right direction. So rather than improving, I think you can continue to do what you are doing right now. But just to add one point, if you could think about how to improve the working condition of waste pickers, that will be even greater. Now, finally, Dr. Matsufuji, please. So I'm tasked to wrap up the session, and this is not just to Andrew, but to all many countries joining this seminar, as well as the Japanese audience. This is my supportive comment for everyone who is engaged in this theme. Today, we learned a lot from Andrew from Kiambu, Kenya. He shared ups and downs and twists and turns, and I believe that it was very inspiring to the participants. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. He also shared information, detailed information about each phase. Now, today's main theme is improving landfills using Fukuoka method. And this is a common challenge, common to the world, not just Africa. And landfill improvement is an infinite challenge. There will be no end. And in that journey, as various panelists commented, to that end, you learn the Fukuoka method. And once you have good understanding of Fukuoka method, I'm sure that this is a technology that will help you very effectively improving landfills. Also, as we heard in the greetings, understanding the Fukuoka method in a correct manner, develop people, also modify the method as per the local conditions to some extent. If you do these things, then this method will spread even more. There was the COP27 at Cairo. Japan made a declaration that Japan will continue to offer support. And I believe that we can lead the improvements step by step. And let me give you one final message. I believe that many people understand this. As you know, 2023, March 6th, there was a huge earthquake in Turkey, and that was captured by TV cameras. And the TV reported this. Under the debris, little sisters were buried under debris, and the elder sister said that while supporting the little sister, the elderly sister said this, help me. I'm ready to become a servant to you if you help me. That was the cry from this little sister who was seeking help and rescue. This is what she says to the rescuers. It's no time for war. Let's think about those sisters and what she said. Her words just keep ringing in my head, loudly in my head. Let's work together to improve inch by inch. This disaster, this kind of disaster, buried under debris, happens every year in many dump sites across the world. And I hope that this Fukuoka method can help to eliminate this kind of tragic disasters. Unreasonable, tragic disasters should not be repeated. And I would like to work together with all participants who are here today to achieve a higher goal. Let's work together. We are very close in a way, but in some dump sites or landfills, there is a lot to do. But I think we have to work together. We can work together to improve. And thank you very much to you all. Thank you. Now we'd like to close the panel discussion. So we connected from Ethiopia, and it's a relief that the connection was stable. So let me return the microphone to Ms. Yamanaka. Panelists and Ms. Hoshino, the moderator, thank you very much. It is time to close. And to the audience, how did you find the seminar today? At FMGN, we are going to conduct seminars or trainings to share latest information of Fukuoka method, and I would like to encourage you to join us next time as well. And after the session, you will see a survey screen, so please fill out the survey before you leave. Thank you very much for your participation today.
お疲れ様でした。あ、カメラがまだですね。
お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様でした。
お疲れ様です。
あ、ならないね。すいません、なんかビデオがオンにならないので。あ、向こうに行く？あ、じゃあちょっと向こうに行きますか。ちょっと移動します。はい。
みんなならないのかもしれない。向こうで管理されてる。ああ、ならない。ああ、ホスト